Picture a quiet evening in Charlotte, North Carolina, back in 1997. The air is still, and the city is settling into its nightly routine. Little do the residents know, a plot is unfolding that will soon shake the very foundations of their peaceful night. On October 4th, $17.3 million in cold, hard cash vanished from the vault of Loomis Fargo & Co.'s regional office. You might wonder about the mastermind behind this, but it wasn't your typical masked gang. This heist involved a vault supervisor, a girlfriend, an FBI informant, and several others with motives as mysterious as the night itself. As the investigation unfolded, a tangled web of relationships, secrets, and unexpected alliances came to light. This was no ordinary crime. It was a tale of betrayal, love, and the kind of audacity that makes your heart race. This leaves us pondering what kind of bold minds are behind these daring heists, and how do they manage to pull off such feats? That's what you'll be uncovering in today's episode. So let's dive into a world where the line between right and wrong blurs, and where the quest for fortune takes unexpected, thrilling turns. This is the story of the notorious Loomis Fargo heist. In 1997, Charlotte, North Carolina was undergoing significant changes. It was striving to maintain its old southern charm while transforming into a burgeoning metropolis. Residents lovingly called it the Queen City. The banks were gaining prominence, and towering buildings began to adorn the skyline, reflecting the city's ambitious dreams. Charlotte was a pleasant place back then. A blend of friendly southern vibes and a growing urban feel. People were close-knit in their neighborhoods and proud of their community. However, underneath, the city was feeling the stress of all the changes. New businesses were emerging, and things were changing in both appearance and lifestyle. Charlotte was grappling with the benefits and challenges of moving forward. Then, the Loomis Fargo heist happened and disrupted everything. The city's usual calm nights were shaken when news of the audacious robbery spread. It wasn't just a crime against a big company, it struck at the community's sense of security. In today's Charlotte, things have continued to evolve. The banks are even more important, and the city looks more modern. People still feel connected, but the memories of that night when the city faced a major challenge linger. The Loomis Fargo heist is like a bookmark in Charlotte's story, reminding everyone of a time when things were very different. Understanding this background is crucial as we delve into the details of the heist itself. In the early hours of Sunday, October 5th, 1997, a call to the Charlotte Mecklenburg police set off a chain of events that would unveil one of the most significant heists in U.S. history. Tammy Gant reported her husband, David, missing after he failed to return home from his job at the Loomis Fargo warehouse. Upon arriving at the scene, an officer found David's truck outside the warehouse gate, the chain link fence open, and the warehouse door ajar. Something was amiss. Loomis Fargo's supervisor confirmed David's absence, and a disturbing discovery unfolded. The vault was locked, but all the keys were gone, along with a company van. The FBI was called in as the magnitude of the crime became apparent. The missing money, belonging to federally insured banks, amounted to a staggering $17 million, mainly in untraceable 20 bills. The puzzling crime scene presented no immediate leads. A stark, empty warehouse with no signs of violence. As investigators pondered the mysterious circumstances, the urgency to find David heightened. The fear of potential harm or abduction lingered until they discovered David's actions on a security tape. Astonishingly, he had single-handedly emptied the vault, taking the loot with him. This audacious heist, marked by meticulous planning, left Loomis Fargo officials locked out of their own vault. The missing $17 million, with unmarked bills and non-sequential serial numbers, posed a daunting challenge. Outside the warehouse, the investigation intensified as agents scoured for any clues left by the robbers. The heist revealed a well-planned operation that left investigators puzzled, and the city of Charlotte shocked by the audacity of a crime carried out right under their noses. The game of cat and mouse between law enforcement and the elusive criminals had just begun, capturing the nation's attention with the boldness of the Loomis Fargo heist. After a weekend of investigation, the FBI faced a difficult beginning. David Gant, along with a van and over $17 million untraceable bills, had vanished. With a 24-hour head start, finding Gant became critical for recovering the missing money. Agents began interviewing Gant's wife, Tammy, and one of his sisters to gather insights into his personal life. Tammy provided background information, highlighting their modest lifestyle, but acknowledged some credit card debt. She couldn't believe Gant's involvement, suspecting he might have been coerced or kidnapped. Despite thorough questioning, there were no noticeable red flags in Gant's routine before the heist. He had been working long hours to pay the bills, and Tammy managed a strict budget. Nothing indicated an immediate motive or any deviation from his normal behavior. To locate Gant, authorities needed to distribute his photo and register him in the National Crime Database, but an indictment was required first. United States Attorney Mark Calloway expedited the process, obtaining an indictment for larceny within 48 hours of the theft. Operation Charlotte, as the investigation was now named, launched a nationwide manhunt, publicizing Gant's image and urging people to report any sightings. Knowing Gant had a large sum of cash, the FBI anticipated he would need substantial space for transportation and storage. Airports and bus stations were secured, and Gant's photos were widely circulated. The FBI also checked rental agencies for any trucks rented by someone matching Gant's description, but found no leads. In the race against time, Operation Charlotte aimed to unravel the mystery of Gant's disappearance and the location of the missing millions. The media picked up on the story, and everyone awaited updates on the audacious heist that left everyone baffled. As they investigated Gant's background, conflicting portraits emerged, one depicting a hard-working, diligent individual and another showing a disgruntled employee under personal stress. The FBI intensified their investigation, interviewing over 100 people to uncover leads on Gant's potential accomplices and understand his motives. Despite the mixed portrayals, the footage clearly showed Gant methodically loading the van, raising questions about whether he acted alone or under coercion. The investigation turned to Gant's relationships, especially with a former co-worker named Kelly Campbell. While external accounts suggested a close bond, Campbell denied any such intimacy, presenting a discrepancy that baffled the FBI. Doubts about Campbell's honesty led agents to scrutinize Gant's phone records. The analysis revealed calls from inside Loomis to Gant's cell phone during the heist, indicating possible collaboration. Gant's pager records also intrigued investigators, showing a recurring entry of 3 digits, 143. The FBI deduced that someone on the other end of those calls was likely involved in the heist. Amidst contradictions and unanswered questions, the investigation into David Gant's disappearance and the missing millions continued, with the FBI navigating a complex web of relationships, motives, and hidden messages. A week after the Loomis Fargo heist, the FBI convened, anticipating a surge of tips following the broadcast of David Gant's picture on America's Most Wanted. However, due to extended baseball game coverage, the expected influx of information did not occur. With $14 million still unaccounted for, the FBI faced the challenge of locating Gant, and hope waned as time passed. To maintain public interest in the heist, Loomis Fargo offered a $500,000 reward. The response was overwhelming, flooding the FBI with leads. A dedicated database was set up to manage the growing number of tips, ranging from suspicions about extravagant spending to any potential connection to Gant. One lead pointed to Eric Payne, who was reportedly spending lavishly after the heist. However, upon investigation, the FBI found no direct link to Gant. Among these leads, a significant tip emerged about Steve Chambers in nearby Gaston County. Chambers had purchased a $600,000 home in cash, raising suspicions. A thorough background check revealed erratic spending patterns, including buying a truck, a BMW Roadster, and paying cash for various transactions. While this spending seemed more like illegal drug money than Gant's loot, the police began closely monitoring the Chambers. Meanwhile, in Cramerton, the Chambers family moved into an exclusive gated community, puzzling the locals. Michelle Chambers claimed her husband, Steve, was a retired pro football player who struck it rich gambling in Atlantic City and selling laundromats in Texas. These stories, however, raised skepticism among the neighbors, including Mayor Kathy Biles. Michelle's method of payment added to suspicions as she consistently used packets of cash, mainly $20 bills, for every purchase. Chief David Young of the Cramerton Police, after receiving Mayor Biles's concerns, contacted Mark Rossi at the Charlotte FBI. Rossi revealed the FBI's growing suspicion of the Chambers' involvement in the Loomis heist. Steve Chambers, aside from claiming to be a retired football player, had a history as a small-time criminal with mafia ties, known for passing bad checks and causing disturbances. Despite the lavish spending, the FBI lacked solid evidence connecting Chambers to the missing $14 million. As the investigation zeroed in on Chambers, the FBI grappled with the overwhelming number of tips. Chambers emerged as a key figure due to his high-profile lifestyle, but proving a direct link to the Loomis Fargo heist and David Gant's disappearance remained elusive. Weeks after David Gant disappeared with $17 million from Loomis Fargo, the FBI encountered difficulties in tracking him and his possible accomplices, sifting through numerous reports of suspicious spending in Charlotte and scrutinizing bank records for large cash transactions proved laborious. Nevertheless, the FBI uncovered two crucial suspicious activity reports from bank tellers. One involved Michelle Chambers making a substantial cash deposit, which raised red flags. Yet this information didn't directly tie the Chambers to the stolen Loomis money. The focus then shifted to Steve and Michelle Chambers, who were seen making significant cash deposits and acquiring safe deposit boxes. Surveillance efforts, both ground-based and aerial, intensified. However, in the small town of Cramerton, where the Chambers lived, residents began noticing unfamiliar vehicles and planes, causing concern and prompting Chief David Young to manage community perceptions. The FBI feared that the Chambers might become aware of the investigation. To their surprise, the couple remained unaware, continuing their extravagant spending spree. As Christmas approached, the Chambers purchased a truck and a $43,000 diamond ring with cash. Still, the FBI struggled to definitively connect their spending to the stolen Loomis funds. As the holidays came and went, surveillance continued, with the FBI cautious not to tip off the Chambers. Steve Chambers, with his close-knit circle, proved difficult to investigate. The FBI examined yearbooks and found a possible connection to David Gant through Kelly Campbell. Gant's friend, Kelly Campbell, however, refused to take a polygraph test and exhibited nervous behavior during interviews, raising doubts. The agents, despite lacking concrete evidence, considered Campbell, the Chambers, and another suspect, Eric Payne, as potential accomplices. After 3 months of investigation, David Gant remained elusive, leaving the FBI with several suspects, but no definitive proof linking them to the Loomis heist. The Chambers, seemingly oblivious to the scrutiny, continued their spending spree, even purchasing a furniture store in 1998. The FBI, despite their efforts, struggled to establish clear connections between the suspects, the stolen money, and Gant's location. As the investigation stretched into 1998, the agents had suspects but lacked crucial evidence to resolve the case and locate David Gant. 3 months after the heist, Michelle Chambers and Kelly Campbell were seen together at a furniture store, providing the FBI with a significant lead. Campbell was driving a new minivan, and tracing its license plate connected her to Steve Chambers. As the FBI continued surveillance around Charlotte, Michelle Chambers stood out for managing bank deposits and their lavish lifestyle. In January 1998, during a routine $8,000 deposit, Michelle was caught using a Loomis money band, directly linking the Chambers to the stolen cash. Instead of making immediate arrests, the FBI decided to wait, hoping that the Chambers would lead them to David Gant. This choice proved crucial when Kelly Campbell revealed in a wiretapped conversation that she had received a page from Gant, confirming he was still alive. With phone taps in place, the FBI monitored various conversations, hoping to gather useful information. Chambers and Campbell mostly discussed trivial matters, making it hard for the FBI to obtain actionable evidence. In a surprising twist, Campbell disclosed that Gant had contacted her, signaling a need for additional funds. This revelation was unexpected, given Gant's previous theft of $17 million. Chambers, wanting to get rid of Gant, planned to meet Campbell at their furniture store to discuss the situation. Meanwhile, the FBI made a breakthrough when Michelle Chambers unknowingly used a Loomis money band during a deposit. The money band, marked with the handwritten initials of a Loomis employee, directly connected the stolen cash to Loomis Fargo. With this vital evidence, the FBI now faced the decision of whether to make immediate arrests or wait for a lead on David Gant's whereabouts. They chose to wait. The wiretaps continued, and the FBI eavesdropped on conversations about setting up a Cayman Islands bank account and hiring a bodyguard. Despite the mostly routine nature of the discussions, the agents held out hope for a lead on Gant's whereabouts. Kelly Campbell and Steve Chambers eventually discussed an anticipated call from Gant, arranging a coded page to signal when and where he would call. The FBI aimed to capture Gant's voice on tape. However, when the scheduled call came, Campbell missed the designated payphone, and the agents were on the verge of ending the wiretap. Just as they were about to conclude, Campbell informed Chambers that she had received a page from David Gant. This time, the FBI was prepared and successfully intercepted the call. Hearing Gant's voice was crucial, confirming he was still alive. Although they couldn't trace the call, this information was vital. Knowing Gant was alive, the FBI faced an urgent task as Chambers and Campbell plotted to eliminate him. They aimed to capture Gant's voice again to track his location. In a surprising development, Kelly Campbell revealed Gant's whereabouts during a conversation with Steve Chambers. He was in Cozumel, Mexico. This gave the FBI the breakthrough they needed to find out where Gant had been hiding since the heist. As Gant continued to request more money, Chambers planned to hire a hitman, Mike McKinney, to take out Gant. However, the FBI, now aware of the plot, acted quickly to prevent Gant's murder. Agents flew to Mexico and arrested Gant in Playa del Carmen, a city near Cancun, on March 1, 1998. 5 months after the heist, the FBI had identified the main players, located Gant, and intervened before the planned hit could occur. Once in custody, Gant detailed how the heist was executed. A former Loomis Fargo employee, Gant was persuaded by Kelly Campbell to steal $17 million. Steve Chambers masterminded the plan, involving accomplices, fake IDs, and careful research on Loomis Fargo's security flaws. Chambers managed Gant's escape, taking care of false identities and recruiting gang members. The gang's goal was to escape detection and, motivated by financial troubles, Gant agreed to the daring plan. In a complex case of a heist gone awry, the FBI unraveled the plot through meticulous surveillance, saving Gant from harm and bringing the key players to justice. David Gant's plan was straightforward. On October 4, 1997, he was scheduled to close the facility alone. Early that morning, he kissed his wife goodbye, knowing he wouldn't return for a while. The gang, including Steve Chambers, Scott Grant, and Kelly Campbell, planned to wait for Gant to be alone at Loomis after the last truck arrived. Gant, unaware of their plan, had to contend with a new trainee and wait for the opportune moment to be alone in the warehouse. After a delay, Gant and the trainee were the only ones left in the warehouse. Exploiting the trainee's inexperience, Gant locked the vault, and once the trainee left, began the heist. He meticulously packed millions into a company van. Meanwhile, outside, the gang waited anxiously across the street. The plan was for Gant to drive the cash out of Loomis around 5 p.m., but he faced unexpected delays. When he finally left, the gang, led by Chambers and Kelly, followed him to Reynolds & Reynolds, where Eric Payne was waiting with a rented van. Gant handed the key to Payne, but they struggled with the issue of not knowing which key opened the Loomis van. The gang wrestled with the key problem while Gant and Campbell drove away with millions. Despite their chaotic start, Gant and Campbell encountered another problem: no flights to Mexico from Columbia Airport. They made a last-minute decision to head to Atlanta. Meanwhile, the gang struggled to open the van and had to leave behind some cash, hiding it in blue barrels. In Mexico, Gant and Campbell enjoyed their newfound wealth, but Gant soon faced financial difficulties when he couldn't access his share of the loot. Relying on the gang to send him cash, he began running low by the end of October. Steve Chambers sent Mike McKinney to deliver money and monitor Gant until they could eliminate him. When McKinney delivered a small packet of money, Gant grew suspicious and called Campbell, fearing he might never see the full amount he believed was his. Gant's situation worsened when a stranger in Cancun recognized him as the thief who stole $20 million in North Carolina. Panicking, Gant realized he needed to make changes. His financial troubles and fear of being recognized began to unravel his plan. Gant, trying to stay low, read comics and listened to music, while a stranger named Robert, claiming to be a friend of Mike McKinney, warned him about threats from Charlotte. Gant, concerned for his safety, paid Robert $2,000 for the tip, changed hotels, and used aliases. Fearing the gang's plan to kill him, he stayed indoors during the day and only went out at night. Yet, he needed money and made a mistake by asking Kelly Campbell for help, revealing his location in Cozumel. This error led both the gang and the FBI to discover Gant's whereabouts. The FBI, led by Agent Rosie, arrested Gant. With Gant in custody, questions about Kelly Campbell's involvement emerged. As the plane landed in Charlotte, the urgency to arrest the rest of the gang before they learned of Gant's capture was clear. On March 2, 1998, 5 months after the Loomis Fargo heist, the FBI and local police arrested members of the gang. Steve Chambers was informed of a break-in at his furniture store, leading to his arrest. Michelle Chambers, sworn to secrecy, was also arrested. Simultaneously, the FBI raided Kelly Campbell's home, seizing suspicious items including credit cards, appliances, jewelry, and cash. Mike McKinney, Eric Payne, and Scott Grant were arrested at various locations. During the arrests, the FBI recovered over $1 million in cash and numerous items bought with stolen money. The Chambers mansion yielded $720,000 in cash and 460 items. Out of 21 defendants, 20 pleaded guilty and 1 pleaded not guilty. Jeffrey Guller, Chambers' attorney, was convicted of money laundering. The FBI recovered nearly $10 million from 24 safe deposit boxes linked to Chambers. The stolen money was found buried, stored in drawers, a shoebox, and even in a blue barrel from the night of the robbery. As the gang faced legal consequences, Kelly Campbell, cooperating with authorities, received a lighter sentence of 5 years and 10 months. David Gant, who once dreamed of luxury with Kelly, was sentenced to 7 years and 6 months. In February 1999, an auction of over 1,000 items purchased with stolen money drew more than 5,000 people. The proceeds, around $360,000, were given to Lloyd's of London, Loomis Fargo's insurance company. The aftermath highlighted the gang's lack of foresight, focusing solely on the outcome of wealth. The FBI successfully apprehended all involved and recovered both the stolen money and the gang's extravagant purchases. Despite losing everything, David Gant remained unapologetic, saying he would do it again if given the chance. The gang members faced prison time and ongoing financial repercussions due to restitution orders. The auction became a surreal event, showcasing the lavish items bought with stolen funds. In the end, the FBI considered the case challenging, but successfully captured the entire Loomis gang, delivering justice and recovering both the stolen money and the gang's extravagant acquisitions. This heist serves as a reminder that ill-gotten gains rarely lead to lasting success. Don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping real-life cases. See you in the next video.